Have you ever had that feeling when the phone rings and your first thought is not to answer, but to wait quietly until it stops? Or when someone knocks on the door and you freeze for a moment, secretly hoping they will simply go away? If so, listen carefully. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not becoming cold, strange, or less social. You may simply be entering a stage of life in which silence no longer feels empty. Instead, it begins to feel like a refuge. And that is something very few people talk about openly. For years, we become accustomed to the constant presence of other people. Work, responsibilities, children, family, neighbors, casual conversations, phone calls, meetings, invitations, small favors, and enormous expectations. For a long time, all of this seems normal. It may even seem necessary. We live among other people, and we often fail to notice how much energy we give away every single day. But then, at some point, something begins to shift. Suddenly, you no longer want to be everywhere. You do not want to talk to everyone. You do not want to answer immediately. Not because you have stopped liking people, but because you no longer need them in the same way you once did. And that is not selfishness. It is not coldness. It is not a flaw in your character. It is psychology, experience, and an inner truth that often takes years to understand. The first reason is simple, but powerful. As we grow older, our tolerance for emptiness drops dramatically. When you are younger, you put up with more. Meaningless conversations, gossip, awkward visits, forced smiles, family tension, and people who talk only about themselves. You stay around people who make you feel heavy, simply because you want to be polite. When you are young, you often make excuses for many things. You give people another chance. You grit your teeth. You smile even when you have no energy left. But after years of doing this, something inside you begins to speak very clearly. Enough. I no longer want to waste myself on things that bring nothing meaningful into my life. I do not want to laugh at jokes that are not funny to me. I do not want to listen to opinions that hurt me or drain me. I do not want to sit in places that leave me more exhausted than I was before I arrived. And do you know what? That is healthy. It is not cruelty. It is self-protection. The second reason has to do with priorities. They truly change. As the years pass, you stop asking yourself, how can I make more people like me? Instead, you begin asking different questions. What gives me peace? Who leaves me feeling lighter after a conversation? Who strengthens me and who drains me? Who do I genuinely trust? Who do I want to open my door to and who no longer deserves space in my life? Suddenly, popularity stops mattering. A full calendar no longer feels impressive. The number of people in your contacts no longer says anything important about the quality of your life. You begin to value something entirely different. Depth instead of noise. Meaning instead of appearances. One honest conversation instead of 10 shallow ones. One sincere presence instead of a crowd of people who still leave you feeling lonely. And when the right people are not around, silence stops feeling frightening. It becomes a better choice than pretending. The third reason is quieter and more painful than many people are willing to admit. Loss. As we grow older, we lose people. Not only through death, although that leaves a deep mark. We also lose people because our lives move in different directions, because we enter different stages, because of disappointment, because some relationships simply fade, not through one dramatic argument, but slowly and irreversibly. Every loss takes away a part of your social world. And eventually, not every woman wants to rebuild that world at any cost. Not because she has given up, not because she has closed her heart, but because she understands something deeply important. Time is limited, and energy is even more valuable. At some point, the soul says, I have loved deeply. I have lost deeply. And now I want to leave space only for what feels safe, real, and gentle. The fourth reason is social exhaustion. And I am not talking about ordinary tiredness that disappears after a nap or a quiet evening. I mean a deeper kind of exhaustion. The kind that comes after years of managing other people's moods. Years of calming conflicts, adjusting yourself, giving in, mediating, maintaining relationships, remembering everyone, and caring for people who rarely remember to care for you. Perhaps for a long time, you were the one who called first, the one who made peace, the one who organized everything, the one who held everything together. But one day, you begin to realize that you no longer have the strength to carry everyone on your back. A short meeting with someone who talks nonstop can drain your entire afternoon. A family dinner where several people speak at once can start to feel like a marathon for your nervous system. And then you stop saying yes to everything. You choose rest over obligation. Not because you have become weaker, but because you have finally stopped ignoring your own limits. There is also something we do not talk about nearly enough. Older people are not always lonely. Very often, they are simply peaceful. They have genuinely made peace with their own company. But the world does not like that story. We are constantly told that happiness must be loud, that we need people around us, constant activity, messages, plans, and meetings. As though silence were automatically a sign that something is wrong. But that is not true. Sometimes, the deepest connection does not happen in a crowd. It happens when you sit alone with a cup of tea, when you listen to birds outside your window, when you read a few pages of a book, or when you simply stare at the wall and realize that, for the first time in a long time, you do not have to prove anything. That is not avoiding life. It may be the most mature form of living you have ever reached. The fifth reason is powerful: self-awareness. At some point, you finally begin to truly know yourself. Not the version other people wanted to see. Not the version that tried to please everyone. Not the version that was kind at her own expense. Your real self. You know what overwhelms you. You know what calms you. You know which words make you shut down and which ones help you open up. You know which people press against your old wounds. You know which meetings leave you sleeping badly afterward. You know when your body is saying, enough, even while your mouth is still trying to be polite. And once you have that kind of knowledge, a protective instinct begins to grow. You stop entering places where something inside you fades. You step away from relationships that cost too much. Not to punish anyone, but to protect your own peace. It is a quiet kind of strength, but one of the most valuable strengths a woman can build. The sixth reason may be the simplest and the most unforgiving. Time begins to feel different. When you are very young, an hour can seem insignificant. You give it away without thinking. You sit through it, talk through it, or waste it. But later, an hour begins to carry weight. You feel that every day costs something. Every conversation, every visit, every outing, and every phone call takes more than time. It also takes your attention, strength, patience, mood, and energy. And so, you begin to invest yourself more carefully, more wisely. You do not give everyone access. You do not agree to everything. Sometimes, you choose solitude over company. Not because you dislike people, but because you finally like yourself enough to be selective. And this is where things become interesting. The people around you may not understand. They may say that you have withdrawn, that you are not the same person you used to be, that you have become more difficult, less social, less available, or less willing. And the truth is, in a way, they are right. You have changed. But that is not a problem. It may be proof that you have stopped living according to other people's rules. You are not here to keep everyone else comfortable. You are not obligated to be endlessly pleasant, endlessly ready, endlessly present, and endlessly open. You have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You have the right to say yes only when you genuinely mean it. You have been through too much to spend what remains of your strength maintaining the illusion that everything is fine with you. That is not rudeness. It is honesty with yourself. But let us go even deeper, because this change is not only about protecting your time and energy, it is also about clarity. As you grow older, a certain sharpness of perception often appears. Your memory may not always be perfect, but your awareness becomes more precise. You recognize dishonesty more quickly. You see who pretends to care, who appears only when they need something, who says kind things while carrying jealousy underneath, who never asks how you are unless they are waiting for a chance to talk about themselves. In the past, it may have taken many situations for you to understand that a relationship was not good for you. Now, sometimes one meeting is enough. One sentence, one tone of voice, one look. And that clarity can become exhausting if you are still trying to play the old social game. That is why many women simply step back. They simplify their lives. They stop explaining themselves. They stop justifying why they left early, why they did not call back, or why they did not attend. From the outside, it may look like isolation. On the inside, it often feels like relief. There is another layer that almost no one talks about loudly enough. Your capacity for emotional labor also changes. Perhaps for years, you were the one who understood everyone. The one who carried other people's emotions, the one who listened, the one who eased tension in the family, the one who remembered birthdays, initiated meetings, rescued relationships, and made sure no one felt overlooked. But after decades of being the glue, you may finally ask yourself, who holds me together? Who supports me when I have nothing left? Who truly notices when I am tired? And if the answer is almost no one, you begin to slowly step out of that role. Not out of revenge, not to punish anyone, but because continuing to betray your own needs has become too painful. You exchange people-pleasing for peace of mind. And yes, some people will fall away when you stop carrying them. But those who remain will become priceless. We should not forget the body, either. It also takes part in this transformation. Loud places may exhaust you more than they used to. Sitting for long periods may no longer feel harmless. Late nights may lose their appeal. Too much stimulation can become genuinely overwhelming. And suddenly, a dinner that drags on for hours no longer feels enjoyable. It feels like an effort that requires a long recovery afterward. When physical fatigue combines with emotional overload, quiet moments begin to feel like luxury. So you change your rhythm. You decline more often. You prefer earlier hours to late nights. You begin shaping your life around your body instead of forcing your body to meet the expectations of your life. That is not a whim. It is maturity. Then there is the question of identity. That changes too. You are no longer the same person you were many years ago. Perhaps you are no longer raising small children. Perhaps you are no longer building your career at the same pace. Perhaps you have completed an important chapter. Perhaps you have gone through illness, loss, burnout, a spiritual awakening, or simply a new understanding of yourself. When your identity changes, the landscape of your relationships changes with it. People who were connected to your former roles may not remain close to you in this new stage. And that does not mean anyone did something wrong. Sometimes your lives simply stop reflecting one another the way they once did. You move into different rhythms. And that is okay. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Sometimes, letting go is the healthiest decision you can make. Because what you are making room for matters. Quiet mornings. A short conversation with one person who truly understands you. A peaceful walk where you do not have to play any role. An afternoon when nothing extraordinary happens, and yet you feel completely at ease. This is often what the soul begins to crave. Less stimulation. More meaning. Less noise. More depth. It is not a rejection of people. It is a clearing of your inner circle. At first, it may look like loneliness, but over time, it becomes clarity. Some people will never understand it. They may say, "You used to be more outgoing," or "Why don't you go anywhere anymore?" And you may find it difficult to answer. Because how do you explain thousands of quiet realizations in just a few words? How do you summarize decades of growth in one polite sentence? The truth is, you do not owe anyone that explanation. Not anymore. You have the right to disappear into your own peace without guilt. You have the right to protect what you worked so hard to build within yourself. And here is something that may surprise you. This change does not necessarily mean that you are closing yourself off from life. Very often, it means that you are finally choosing life consciously. When you reduce toxic conversations, when you stop forcing yourself into relationships that hurt you, and when you choose peace over obligation, you are not withdrawing. You are healing. You are preserving your energy for what truly matters. Your body feels it. Your nervous system feels it. Your heart feels it. That is why so many mature people appear calmer. They are no longer trying to impress anyone. They are no longer trying to fix everything. They are no longer fighting to save every relationship. They speak less, but when they speak, it matters. You are not running away from people. More and more, you are returning to yourself. To the part of you that you may not have had time to meet for many years. To the woman who no longer wants to live for appearances. To the woman who no longer needs to fit everywhere. To the woman who finally understands that peace is a value, not a consolation prize. The less you depend on the constant presence of others, the more naturally the right people begin to appear. You stop begging for attention. You begin attracting genuine connection. You do not force conversations. They happen naturally. You do not chase closeness. It comes to you more quietly, but more honestly. And the few people who remain become priceless because they love this calmer version of you, the real version. Not the woman who is everywhere, but the woman who is fully present when it truly matters. So if lately you feel less drawn to people, more selective, quieter, or more withdrawn, do not panic. Do not doubt yourself. Do not allow the world to convince you that something is wrong with you. You are not broken. You have not faded. You have not become less valuable. Perhaps you are simply letting go of what stopped fitting you a long time ago. Perhaps you are not becoming less social. Perhaps you are becoming more yourself. And that cannot be faked. Maybe your calendar is empty this weekend. Maybe your phone is quieter than it used to be. Maybe you spent the afternoon doing nothing remarkable, and yet you felt a strange, comforting sense of peace. That does not have to be loneliness. It may be the moment when your life finally begins to fit you, without pressure, without pretending, without excess. And perhaps that is what real freedom looks like. If this message touched something quiet but important inside you, let me know in the comments whether you also value peace more than company as you grow older. And if you would like to hear more reflections like this, subscribe to the channel.